Yo guys, what is up? It's your boy TRUEDBZZ back with another video, and today I'm going to be going over my Krillin synergy tier list. So as you guys may know, I started doing discussion videos a lot more often, and that's probably going to be more of a focus here on the channel as we progress onward. But I figured that this one in particular was something that I had to do, given the fact that I already had my own Krillin character guide. It was 5 parts, and this is probably like a bonus 6th video on the topic. I mean, I guess it wouldn't naturally count, but it's still Krillin based, so I figured, you know, this is important enough to where I feel like I should make a video on it. So without wasting any more time, I'm going to go over my thought process and character goals, and then we'll start getting into the tiers themselves. So, right off the bat, thought process. So, this basically means how do I view Krillin in the game, and what are things that you want to be looking for when playing the character, right? So, Krillin's role. So, Krillin is mostly a support character that wants to be set up with his level 3. So, with that being said, he is basically like your Android 21 style character, where people play her in the back and then use her A assist as, you know, like a projectile, and then as soon as you get 3 bars or 4 bars or whatever the case, you swap into her, and then you get basically a 50-50 left right. So basically this is the same process with Krillin, where he basically does the exact same thing, but it is a little bit harder because some characters actually can't give him his actual good Oki, which is very important to the actual synergy of the team, which we will get into later on. Next up is Krillin's best position. So Krillin's best position is a middle character. For this specific team build, you can actually run him anchor as well, because you're going to be swapping into him as much as possible. So, you know, once you get your 3-4 bars, then you can swap into Krillin, and then now he's your point character. So having him as a mid is probably the best way to go when building teams with Krillin. But if you're playing this specific build where you want to utilize his level 3, having him as your anchor isn't necessarily a bad thing either. And lastly, what is his best assist? So overall, I would say his A or rock toss assist is probably his best assist, but his B assist, which is his Kamehameha, is still really good because it's a beam assist. Like, pretty much everybody in the game can use it, so you know, you can't really go wrong with it. And then his C assist is your basic C assist tracking, you know, covers the ground well, and if you get a hit, then you get a combo. So it's really nothing that special, but his A and B assists are really good. So yeah, though you can choose whatever you want, and it is team dependent. You know, some characters don't want low blocks done, they want the beam assist blocks done, and then some characters just want the fast startup of the rock toss. So, you know, experiment with your team and then see whichever works best for you, but A and B assists are good options. Alright, next we're going into character goals. So what this means is, what am I looking for when talking about Krillin synergy with these characters? So these are little goalposts that I've made to basically tell you what I'm looking for in a character when it comes to Krillin, and then what am I looking for in terms of what Krillin, not only what Krillin receives from the team, but what he gives back to them with, you know, his A assist or his DHC or whatever. So that's basically what these character goals are. So the most important character goal on this list is, can they give Krillin's best Oki option, and can they do it with ease? So for example, all the characters in the top tier, as you may see, all give Krillin his level 3 Oki pretty much anywhere on screen and without any hurdles. And then as we go downward, that becomes less and less available as more characters need the corner, or they need to spend EX moves, or they need DHC in the corner or something like that. So it's a lot more rare, but they can still do it. But as for the top tiers, they can do it anywhere on screen and pretty easily, all things considered. Next up on the list is, can they hold their own if things don't work out? So basically, how good are these characters in neutral? How much damage do they do? Can they make comebacks? Do they have good normals? You know, stuff like that. So sometimes when playing matches, Krillin might die right off the bat, you know. It's like if you DHC and then you mess up your Oki and then they kill Krillin in the process. Are these characters good enough to where without Krillin, or even both characters on the team, if they're left solo, how well are they acclimated to fighting on their own? Which, for the first 3 tiers, like the top 3 tiers, I think all the characters are good in that area, and there is 1 or 2 characters in the bottom 2 that I would say are good as anchors, but for the most part, everybody can relatively hold their own, so you know, that's pretty good. Next up is, do they have good meter gain? So basically, how good are characters at building meter in the game? So basically, the most optimal thing you want to look for is, can your character build 2 bars in a single combo? For the most part, everybody can do it, mostly, I believe. But there are some certain exceptions, you know, characters like Cooler doesn't build meter that well. Characters like Beerus doesn't build meter that well. You know, Majin Buu doesn't build meter well. So, you know, you have to keep that in mind when talking about synergy wise, especially with characters that have special abilities that are locked behind meter, such as, you know, level 3s, level 5s, and such like that. So you want characters that can also build meter for that, and then also be able to DHC or tag in or whatever the case is. Next is, do they have a good assist spread? So do these characters have multiple assists that you can use that are still optimal in the game's meta? So for example, we have Super Saiyan Goku in the toppest of tiers because his A assist and his B assist are really good. A assist is the Kamehameha, which is always good, and then the other one is his quarter circle back light, which is his kick move. It gives you 40 frames of block stun, it's relatively fast on startup, and it also keeps the person standing up if they get hit. So it's really easy to convert off of. So this assist is really good, and so Goku is in the upper tiers because he has a good assist spread, as well as his C assist being not that bad. You know, it's a C assist, so they pretty much all do the exact same thing. So I don't really consider them a real factor in a lot of this, but he has a okay C assist. Alright, the second to last thing I want to talk about is, does their game plan interfere with Krillin's and vice versa? So, you know, for example, Gotenks. Gotenks is really high on this list, but he's not considered in the upper echelon of characters, because what his game plan is that he wants to build meter. That way, whenever he gets to the corner, he can set up his Ghost Oki and then, you know, basically, you know, 50-50 you with Ghosts, right? But in order to do that, not only does Gotenks have to build meter, he also has to use it as well, which puts him in meter penalty. And then if you get the hit, then you're not really rebuilding meter again. So you pretty much have to kill off that single hit without using meter, for the most part. So, you know, when talking about a character like Krillin that really wants meter, wants characters to build meter for him, and then DHC into him, that way you can get a mix-up, you know, having characters use meter in order to complete their game plan is kind of detrimental to Krillin's game plan, as, you know, meter penalty is a thing in this game, so characters aren't going to be building meter like constantly over and over again, right? So you want to be saving your bars for Krillin, that way you can get him in his best possible position and kill. You know, characters like Gotenks constantly use meter, characters like Piccolo, Zamasu, Majin Buu, Teen Gohan. You know, these characters use a lot of meter to complete their game plan, so that does affect how well they synergize with Krillin. And the last thing I'm going to be talking about in terms of character goals is the red brackets. So these red brackets are basically so characters within this bracket can be swapped with each other, and it's pretty much the exact same thing. So for example, in the good synergy, I have base Vegeta, Blue Goku, and base Goku. So all three of these characters have really strong options to give Krillin, and Krillin gives them okay stuff back. So basically, what these red brackets mean is that these three characters, all in all, I consider around the same level when it comes to Krillin synergy. I do believe that base Vegeta is the best, Blue Goku is next, and base Goku is after him. But if you want to argue that base Goku is better overall than base Vegeta and Blue Goku when it comes to synergy wise, I'm not gonna, fault you for that. But the order does matter in my opinion, but if you're swayed into swapping out, I'm not gonna beat your head over the head with a brick with, trying to convince you. But, it's not like saying, oh yeah, well, Lab Coat 21 is the best synergy wise because how good she is. That's really not how that works. At least not for my list. So, Lab Coat is pretty mid tier when it comes to that, but we'll get into all that later. But basically, all in all, the red brackets show basically a checkpoint, in which case the characters within the bracket are swappable because they pretty much all do the exact same thing, or they have special, unique stuff that makes them special, but all the characters around that don't. Their roles are pretty defined, so they don't really move that much. So, that's what the red brackets mean. Hey guys, this is post-edited TrueDBZ here. So after recording this video, I actually realized that I didn't really go into depth on what Krillin gives to other characters, and most of this video is just me talking about what characters give to Krillin. So right here, I'm just gonna talk about what Krillin gives to other characters. That way, you know what you're getting yourself into when playing Krillin. So first thing I'm gonna talk about is his assists. So this is also talked about in my character guide, but I'm just gonna quickly go through it right now. So his rock toss is probably his best assist. Some applicable things you can do with it is use a fast moving move like a lariat or a tackle, and then call a rock, because it is 20 frames on startup, so it basically makes it unreactable to block it. And if you do block it, it has very little hit stun, but if you hit with double the rocks, you get double the block stun. So it just depends on what your angle is. Next is double rock pressure. So this allows you to basically use both the rocks in the same block string, essentially giving you double the block stun. So most characters can use this for like cross-up stuff, and it's really strong for characters that have a command grab, because that's just another option you can layer on top of it. And the last thing about A assist I'm going to talk about is layered neutral. So this basically involves you throwing projectiles on screen and then calling Krillin A as a way to protect you from super dash, because most players will become impatient when zoning, and they'll try to super dash or dash block you. So Krillin A is really good at stopping that. So that's what I mean by layered neutral. The next assist I want to talk about is his B assist, which is Kamehameha. Some ways you can use that is one is ground control. So this allows you to essentially just control the entire floor by using upward projectiles, and then using that to drag the opponent down into Krillin's assist. And that allows you to basically just get in for free and do whatever you want. The next use for the B assist is the block stun. So this assist has the most block stun out of all Krillin's assists, and so it's really good for using it for mix-ups, and allows you to basically just open your opponent up. Most characters in the game can use this, so I recommend this assist as well. And the last thing about Kamehameha is that it is a combo tool. So the Rock Assist is also a combo tool as well. It has a lot of hits on it as well. But most of the time you're going to be using that for pressure and for lariat style pressure. But Kamehameha is a lot more, not more restricted, but is way more likely that you'll be able to use Kamehameha in in combos as well than rocks. But it also depends on the character. But Kamehameha can be used as a combo ender to get you grounded Dragon Rush, which leads into way more damage, especially with other characters other than Krillin, because Krillin can use Kamehameha again afterwards. And the last assist I'm going to talk about is his C assist, which is Solar Flare. So this assist you practically don't need, but it does have some good unique qualities to them that if you're just curious on what this assist can provide for your team, I'm just going to go over it right now. So the first thing is that it is considered an anti-air, and it also reaches really high up in the sky. So you know, if you're playing neutral and your opponent decides to super dash at you, you can call the assist and then block the super dash, and then you get a conversion off of it. And speaking of conversions, that's another thing that C assists are really good for. So because of how high the C assist actually hits the opponent, you can actually just start throwing projectiles in neutral, and then if the projectile hits the opponent, then you can just call it, and then you'll basically be able to combo for free. So neutral conversions are really important when it comes to C assist, so having a big hitbox with Solar Flare is really important. Some other things that Krillin provides is easy special tag combos. So this allows you to tag in your other characters with ease and basically doesn't make you cost resources. So this is really important as well. The next thing is Krillin's meter gain. So Krillin, if you use him optimally, can actually build 2 bars per combo. So that's really important when it comes to using Krillin's level 3, and then if you're using other characters that require meter, it's also very important. Next is the bonus DHC damage that Krillin provides. So Krillin is able to do up to a level 5. You can choose how much meter you dump, but Krillin does have the option of DHCing basically just 5 times in a row by throwing multiple destructo discs, and this allows you to basically just go ham on your opponent in terms of damage. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is Krillin's Sensu Beam special. So this allows you to heal your own team both on point as an assist. So be sure to use it. It's really good, especially in happy birthday situations where the opponent combos you and your assist. You can actually heal both of them basically whenever Krillin is at point and at the assist roll. So those are just some things that Krillin provides to the team, and let's just get on with the rest of the video. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the actual tier list themselves. So the way this is gonna go is I'm gonna describe the tier overall, what makes these characters good, and then I'm gonna go into character specific stuff, which I'll keep to a 3-point basis. That way we're not wasting time talking about every character in the list, right? So I'm gonna talk about overall what makes these characters good, and then I'll go into specifics as we continue on. So let's jump into it. Alright, going into the best synergy tier. So these characters all give Krillin his level 3 Oki anywhere on screen, and it's easy to do. So you know, these characters basically give Krillin his optimal playstyle without hindering their playstyle in the process. Next, they don't require meter to complete their plan, or at least most don't. Blue Vegeta kinda needs to use meter to do what he does, but it's not really that big a deal. Because most of the time you'll be regaining that meter back, because Blue Vegeta's meter gain in the game is one of the highest, honestly. All things considered, what he does. Next, they have a good assist spread, so both their A and B assists are viable on a team, which for every character in this list, I can say comfortably, yes, A and B are good. They can also be put on any role on the team, so any of these characters can be point, middle, and anchor, and they'll still work fine in terms of their role on the team. Next, do these characters have good neutral and damage? And yes, they do. Super Saiyan Vegeta is on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of damage, because he doesn't really have any in-depth loops or, you know, like real spark, you know, specific stuff. But you know, he built good damage, you know, because he can DHC in the air, which makes his DHC synergy a lot more stronger. That way, you know, he can always tag into other characters that actually do more damage to him. And then lastly, the special tag synergy is actually great. So all these characters can basically do a special move into tag and then get Krillin in without using level 3. So these characters are really good at that, and yeah, tag synergy is becoming really important in the meta, so having that is really good. Alright, going into character specific stuff. So the first one I'm going to be talking about is Blue Vegeta's glitch or feature, level 1 super. So basically how this glitch works is that whenever Blue Vegeta does his dunking move, if you actually input the correct inputs, you'll be able to perform a super attack with Blue Vegeta and a level 3 off 3 bars, because the game doesn't realize that your level 1 actually activated, and so it basically gives you a level 3, or it gives you a level 1 for free meter. So that's one of the reasons why Blue Vegeta is so high, with you know, DHC being really important to Krillin's game plan. It's really important for you to save meter as much as possible, and this is one of the easier ways to do that, the Blue Vegeta glitch. Now, doing this glitch does lose the Oki mid-screen because the timing is a little bit off, but if you do this in the corner, you still get the good Oki and the damage. So, you know, it's much more useful in the corner than anything. Next up is Vegito and Super Saiyan Vegeta don't need to use meter to set up Krillin's level 3 Oki. So, in particular, Super Saiyan Vegeta is the best in the game when it comes to this, because of his J Crossover Forward S move. It is essentially 20 to 25 hits, so it gives Krillin's level 3 plenty of time to reach to the top of the screen and knock the opponent down. Vegito's kicks works pretty much the exact same way, though at lower hit stuns it can be a little bit frustrating, but if you're in the corner it really doesn't matter because how long the move actually stays up on screen. And lastly, Android 18's J Corsical Back S, basically giving her the best meter gain in the entire game, which also means that she is able to DHC into Krillin pretty much whenever she wants to. And also her level 3 is actually really good in the game as well. But having 17 call barrier and neutral is one of the strongest neutral options in the entire game, because it essentially just cuts out every assist in the entire game because it is invuln to assist. It doesn't matter if it's a projectile, whether it's a strike assist, or you know, if it's like a tackle assist or something like that, it'll completely absorb it, and when it gets hit, 18 acquires meter. So basically you can call 17 if they're using Vegito assist, you just call that on reaction, and then you get free meter basically for your opponent doing something dumb. So with this being said, 18 having one of the better ways to obtain meter in the game is one of the reasons why I have her so high on this list. So overall, I think the best synergy tier list is pretty much overall cohesive. I don't really expect anyone to be too upset by this roster of characters, but you know, there's definitely a case for certain characters being higher than others. But I do think that these characters, if you want to build a Krillin based team, that these characters need to be on there. At the very least, have one of these characters on your team, and focus on setting up Krillin, and I think you'll be good as golden. Alright, going on to the Great Synergy tier list. So here we have a lot of characters. I think this is the most characters on the list in one single tier. So here is a good majority of the list here. So I'm not going to go through everybody in depth, but I will talk about very specific things that these characters can do, and some of the weaknesses that they have when it comes to synergy wise. So overall, these characters give Krillin really good Oki. Even though it's most of the time is more situational than anything, but there are characters like Kid Buu, Gotenks, and Kefla that give Krillin's Oki anywhere on screen. It's just that they have their own specific issues that make them lower on the list than the top tiers. Overall, all these characters have good A and B assists, so you basically have free reign to use whatever you want when it comes to Krillin. Though I have my preferences, use Gotenks A, Kid Buu A, Kefla A, Bardock B, Broly A, Beerus B. I have my preferences, but you can run other assists as well and still get some good results. And lastly, the overall damage output in neutral of the Great Synergy tier list is pretty much good all around. Characters like Gotenks, Majin Buu, Kefla, Kid Buu, Jiren, Bardock, these characters are all good in neutral, and they also do a lot of damage, especially with other assists involved. So it's not really a matter of could they kill, but when they'll kill. Alright, going into character specific stuff in this tier. So the first characters I want to talk about is Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta and Dragon Ball Super Broly, who are at the top of the list. One of the reasons why I have them so high is because their corner carry in the game is pretty much some of the best in the game, especially when it comes to DBS Broly, who has routes that give him full screen combos and is not really anywhere close to other characters. It's actually just insane how far he pushes you to the corner. So being that the characters' Oki situations derive from the corner, it's really important that these characters can arrive at the corner pretty much wherever they want, whenever they want, sorry. So that's one of the reasons why they're so high in the Great Synergy tier list. But because their Oki isn't mid-screen applicable, they are sadly not in the best synergy tier, but they would be if they was. Next, like I said, Gotenks fights for meter in terms of his game plan. So Gotenks wants to use meter in order to use Ghost Oki, and since the game has a meter penalty in it, Gotenks most likely won't be able to rebuild his meter back. So that completely goes in the way of Krillin's game plan, which is to use his level 3 to set up his Oki option. Now, Gotenks is still really good for Krillin, which is why I have him in the Great Synergy. Both his assists, all three of his assists are really good for Krillin, and since you're going to be playing Gotenks Point most likely, you can use Gotenks C assist and still be fine. So and also Gotenks A gives Krillin 4-way mix, which is pretty unique amongst all the characters in the roster. So Gotenks is a really good partner for Krillin. It's just that both their game plans require meter, which completely goes in the face of each of their game plans. So you kind of have to pick one or the other when choosing this team comp. Do you use Gotenks optimally, or do you use Krillin optimally? And you have the choice to do that, but it's still relatively annoying to do Ghost Oki and then you want to go into Krillin's level 3, but you can't because meter penalty is a thing. So that's one of the reasons why Gotenks is low, per se low on the list. Alright, the next one I want to talk about is Z Broly. So overall, Broly on this tier list was actually a lot lower than a lot of characters when first making this tier list, but I did figure out one way to set up Krillin's Oki in the corner, which is really good. I think it makes you plus 60 when this hits, But the downside to this is that Broly actually loses out on his DHC damage. So, you know, you kind of have to take your pick on whether or not do you want to do damage or do you want the Oki setup. Now, if you know the combo's not going to kill, then I'd recommend going for the Oki option anyway, just so you get Krillin's full level 3 and potentially just mix your opponent entirely and then you still get the kill anyway. But if your character, if Broly and Krillin DHC is going to kill the character, then you might as well just kill him. Like, there's no point in sacrificing damage just to do Oki when they're just going to die anyway. So, you know, that's one loss to Broly, but his A assist is really good. So, you know, if you're going to be running Krillin and Broly together, just keep that in mind that in certain situations that you're going to be losing out on damage in order to perform the best with the team. And the last character I'm going to talk about is Android 17. So Android 17 has been pretty much a controversial character ever since his major buffs in Season 3. Well, yeah, we're technically still in Season 3, but, you know, Season 3.5 or whatever people want to call it. So, overall, 17 has pretty average synergy-wise with Krillin, but there is one setup that you can do in order to get his Oki, which is kind of a weird one because it's really weird. Like, if you guys are seeing the clip, it's like really wonky and stuff. So it's like it's there, but like it's not really great. And then also in the corner, it just straight up doesn't work. So, you know, it's, you know, the fact that 17 can do it at all makes him really high on this list to begin with. But, you know, it's not like it's the best or anywhere near the best. Like, I think Gotenks has better ways of setting it up, but I just think 17 is just a little bit stronger and a little bit more simple. So overall, the great synergy portion of this list is pretty okay. A majority of the characters in the game are here, so you know, if you play any characters in the top three different tier brackets, you know, you're pretty much doing really well in terms of Krillin synergy. It's only the last two that I really have issues with these characters, but we'll get into that later. But overall, the great synergy portion is really good. All these characters are good on their own right, and they can handle themselves relatively well on their own, so use them. With that being said, let's get into the good synergy portion. So here we have characters that can give Krillin his level 3 Oki, but it is very, very specific. So, which we'll get into later on. But just know that some characters can give it to him. It's just very, very restricted. Overall, the assist synergy is okay for all these characters. You know, the only ones that really stand out as not really great for Krillin is Adult Gohan's assist spread. His A assist is not really good for Krillin, and his B assist is average at best. You know, it gives you good block stun, but I don't really see a reason in using it overall, especially if you're going to be playing Adult Gohan points. I'd actually I'd much rather use his C assist, which is a beam. So, you know, it's, you know, the assist spread on this team is not the greatest. Most of the time you're only going to be using one assist for these characters, so it's way less options. You know, if you're playing base Vegeta, it's like, why would you ever use his B assist or his C assist when A is literally sitting right there? Same thing with base Goku and Android 21. Like, these characters have really strong assists that the other assists don't really matter in the long run, because the other assist basically just does their job but better. So, you know, that's one bad thing about this list, is that the assist spread is not really that great or meta relevant. So yeah. And lastly, these characters have good neutral and good damage. So characters like Tien has good DHC damage. Lapco 21 can really nuke your health if given the right situations. Base Vegeta, Blue Goku, and Base Goku all nuke your health off every hit. So, you know, these characters have good neutral and damage. Going into the character specific stuff, so First off, we have Lab Coat 21. So this one is going to be a little bit of a controversial spot as well, because of how meta relevant she is in the game. She's pretty much the best character in the game. So I guess having her low in this tier list might throw off a couple people. But remember, we're talking about not assist synergy, Krillin synergy overall. So what does the character give to Krillin, and what does Krillin give to the character? And with Android 21, it's not really that much. She can set up his level 3 Oki, but it's at very, very specific heights. And most of the time you're sacrificing damage, because 21 can do other routes that lead to more damage and can lead to the debuff, which is a lot more rewarding than doing Krillin's level 3 and then potentially messing it up. So, you know, the game plans kind of conflict with each other, and then also 21 is meter hungry for her debuff. So, you know, that's the reasons why she's down here in terms of, like, you know, in the good synergy portion. But you can argue her being higher on the list if, you know, if you really value her strength over like everybody else in the entire game. So, you know, Lab Coat 21 in terms of synergy wise, I don't think there's much there, but just because how strong the character is, I think you can get away with it. Next I want to talk about Base Goku. So Base Goku can actually set up his level 3 Oki as well, but a character has to die first. So that's one of the reasons why Base Goku is so low. If you could do his Kamehameha Super at any point in the match, then Base Goku would probably be in the great tier list. He'd probably be like next to like Teen Gohan or Beerus or something like that. But since your point character has to die in order for Goku to get this, and then you're spending a level 2 in order to get it instead of a level 1, or using a special move to set it up. So, you know, you're not really like in the best situation when this option appears, because at that point you already lost your point character, and then now you're stuck with Base Goku and Krillin, which isn't bad, but you know, you could have, you know, Vegito in the back and be so much better. So, you know, Base Goku has very specific routes that lead to Krillin's success, and you know, it's not really basically all I'm saying is that you can't control when Base Goku gets his Kamehameha special. It is when a character dies, but can you really control that? You know, what if someone wants to tag in Krillin and then Krillin dies? Well, now the setup is useless because the character needed to do it is dead now. So it's, you know, it's basically a match by match basis. But overall, I think Base Goku is a relatively strong option for Krillin. And then next we're going to be talking about Tien. So Tien is actually a special case, because normally I would put Tien basically in the basic synergy, probably like next to Yamcha. But the things that make Tien stand out are his damage, and then as well as his assist spreads. So I think Tien has one of the best assist spreads in the entire game. His A assist is really good. I know a lot of people don't like it because the block stun is really low, but you know, for majority of the cast that really doesn't matter that much, because most characters setups don't really require that much block stun to begin with. And also if you're worried about block stun, TNB is still a relatively good option to use. It is one of the slower assists in the entire game, so if you don't call it correctly, you can actually get sniped for using it. But overall, you know, it's still a really good assist. It tracks anywhere, and it also gives you a lot of hit stun. So if your opponent gets hit, you can basically convert off of it full screen without any issue. So I really do think that Tien's assist, and then as well as his Tri-Beam supers doing so much damage, really elevate Tien into the upper tiers. So, you know, that's the reason why he's here. He doesn't give Krillin any of his level 3 Oki or any real special tag implications, but just because how strong of an assist character he is, I think Tien deserves his role to be in this tier. And then the last character on this list I'm going to be talking about is Adult Gohan. So just like with Gotenks, Adult Gohan really wants to use meter in order to level up his character. So basically at level 1 you gain access to, you know, kick loops, and then level 5 I think you get like reverse beat or something like that, and then at level 7 he can cancel basically special moves and special moves. So you really want, you know, to fill your Gohan up with meter and super as much as possible. But once again, this flies in the face of Krillin, which he wants the character to store up meter, that way he can DHC and then kill. So, you know, the plans of these two characters are directly conflicting with each other, and then as well as the assist spread not being that good makes Gohan one of the weakest characters in terms of synergy wise to use. Now he does set up his level 3 with his EX kick legs anywhere on screen, but you know, you have to play the character and then use meter to level him up to do it, so I don't think it's really worth it in the end. So overall, the good synergy portion of this list is overall, well, good. There's really nothing else to say. It's overall good. It has some really strong characters, you know, base Vegeta, Blue Goku, base Goku, Cell, Lab Coat. Like, all those characters are really good in this game right now, and pretty much are meta relevant. So, you know, just because the characters are meta relevant doesn't make them great for Krillin, which I hope, you know, this list conveys. So, you know, just take into account when you see characters like Lab Coat and Majin 21 so low on this list. I'm not saying that they're bad characters, I'm just saying that they're average characters when combined with Krillin and his specific needs. So, you know, don't take it as I think 21 is one of the worst characters in the game or anything like that. So, yep, let's go on to the next tier. Okay, so the basic synergy tier is basically these characters don't give Krillin like anything much except for an assist. So all these characters are pretty much just here for their assist, and I'm going to explain why some of these characters are the way that they are. So Majin 21, she can actually set up Krillin's level 3 Oki, but it requires a very specific route and a very specific height. And so that's one of the reasons why she's down here, is because she gives Krillin what he wants, but it's so specific and not optimal that you might as well just play those two like regular Dragon Ball characters, because it's really not worth doing it. Unless you're in the corner, in which case it's really good. And then also for Android 21, she is direct conflict with Krillin because both of these characters essentially does the same thing. You know, both of them are support characters that want to be DHC'd into their level 3s for their best Oki option, and then you mix them and then they die, or the opponent dies. So these two basically conflict with each other because 21 wants to be called in through level 3, and then Krillin wants to be called in through level 3. So if you have both of these characters on the same team, it's like you're kind of like stuck. You know, do you want to go for Krillin's Oki, or do you want to go for 21's Oki? So it's like having the option there is good, but in terms of synergy wise, it's not really compatible, you know. Next character I want to talk about is Zamasu. So Zamasu is basically the exact same thing as Adult Gohan, but slightly worse. Because of his assist, his A assist is really good for Krillin, but his B assist isn't really that great. I mean, it's pretty much your average tackle. I think the speed of it is really good. Like if you, let's just like, if I do think Zamasu is one of the weaker characters when it comes to, you know, synergy wise. But if you wanted to put him higher, I couldn't blame you necessarily, because his A and B assists are relatively good for Krillin, especially his A assist. His A assist is really good. It's one of the best things about Zamasu. But overall, like, Zamasu just requires way too much meter to be optimal. You know, Zamasu most of the time wants to be a mid character. That way, once again, you want to tag into him and then set up his Corsica forward. R2 move, which is the Blades of Judgment. I think that's what it's called. So you want to use that super attack to basically perform Oki and then use it in combos and stuff like that. So Zamasu is constantly using meter over and over and over again, and the more he uses meter, the less meter Krillin has. So, you know, it's a little bit worse than Adult Gohan, but it's still not that great. So that's why Zamasu is down here. Next on the list is GT Goku and Yamcha, and both of these characters basically are here for the same reason, and that's because their A and B assists are the only thing that is good about these characters. GT Goku on point and Yamcha on point is basically null and void because they don't really have any like really good stuff to make it so that they're worth playing. And then as well as they don't really set up Krillin in his Oki option like at all. I thought Yamcha would, because considering the fact that you can control his Spirit Bomb, you could actually delay the timing of the level 3 to where you actually get a good Oki setup, but no, Yamcha's Spirit Ball is not really good for that, so that's why Yamcha is this low on the list. And then GT Goku is just GT Goku, like he's just here for his assist. So both of these characters are just assist characters. If you play these characters, you're pretty much only playing them for their assist and nothing else. So, you know, that's why they're this low. Alright, the last character in this tier list I'm going to be talking about, which is the last character on here, is Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. So, I figure a lot of people are going to be surprised by this, because considering the fact that one of the strongest teams in the game is Gogeta, Krillin, and 16, because Gogeta pretty much gets 4 levels of his level 7 basically per combo, you know, given the fact that Krillin's A assist hits the opponent twice at certain angles, and then as well as 16. So why do I have Gogeta this far low on the list? It's because that for all that Krillin gives Gogeta doesn't really give Krillin back anything else. So, you know, his A assist doesn't help Krillin at all, other than I think like half a meter, which isn't really that great because you can just do a combo and build more meter than that. So it's not really that great. His B assist is your average tackle assist. There's nothing special about it. It doesn't give you any special properties. It doesn't even have that high a block stun. I think it's only like 29. So it's like, it's just your average assist, average, you know. It doesn't make it a bad assist, it's just not doing anything special. And then his C assist is probably the best one in here because it gives you Dragon Balls. So, you know, if you're not using meter for Krillin, I guess you can use it, but once again, if you're playing Krillin, you want to be DHCing into his level 3, and so you won't have meter for the Dragon Balls. So it's pretty much no point to running his C assist at that point. And that's pretty much the crux of Gogeta's problem. It is that he doesn't support Krillin that well. It's just that he gets so much from Krillin and not the other way around. So that's why I have him this low, because it's such a one-sided relationship that I don't think it's good to have them side by side. If you do run this team, you know, if you do run Gogeta, Krillin, you know, you'll definitely get some good work in with this partnership, but it's definitely not, you know, anywhere near the strongest in the game when it comes to these two characters working together. So that's why I have Gogeta here at the bottom of the basic tier list. Alright, so overall the basic tier list is basically your standard Dragon Ball stuff. You know, characters have 1 to maybe 2 good assists, but they don't give Krillin any of the stuff that he's looking for, other than maybe a projectile assist, which Krillin really likes. You know, you don't get any special Oki. The damage on these characters vary. You know, Zamasu does a shit ton of damage, but he needs a lot of meter, which does get in the way of Krillin. And then Gogeta 4 does a lot of damage, and 21 does a lot of damage, but their setups either are non-existent or way too restricted to actually, you know, use in an actual match. So overall, these characters are relatively weaker when it comes to synergy wise, and they're on the cusp of don't recommend in terms of, you know, building an actual Krillin team. So yep, that's basic. Alright, and the last tier here is the don't recommend tier. So these characters, pretty much you don't want to run them with Krillin at any point. These characters are completely not worth it when it comes to synergizing with Krillin. It's pretty much, if you run these characters on your team, you're pretty much decimating your team comp into just your average Dragon Ball team. So I'm basically going to be going over a majority of the characters, but I'll keep them short and sweet because there's not a lot to say about these characters. Number 1, Piccolo. Piccolo is very meter hungry. You know, he can't even get a knockdown mid-screen without using meter, and then his Hell Zone loops require a lot of meter, and then Piccolo doesn't really gain a lot of meter in the process. So just like with Gotenks, you know, he requires a lot of stuff, and so, you know, he wants to be a mid character, that way the character at the point can actually build the meter for him, but you can't really do that because Krillin fills that role on this team. So I don't recommend Piccolo to anyone when selecting a Krillin based team. Next is Frieza. So Frieza's problem is that he doesn't have an actual good assist in the goddamn game. So Frieza actually sets up Krillin's level 3 really well. I think he gives you like plus 50 if it works. So Frieza could actually be a really good partner for Krillin because his neutral is good, his damage is okay, and he knows how to use Krillin's assist really well. The problem is that Frieza doesn't have a good assist like at all for Krillin. Like his A assist travels too far, and then his B assist has no block stun whatsoever. So you're not even safe when doing Krillin's tight block strings. So, you know, Frieza is just down here because his assist sucks. Like, it's really bad. Like, if he had an actual good assist, he'd probably be in the great synergy portion. Like, he'd probably be next to like Majin Buu or something like that. Because his Oki in the corner is really good for Krillin, but, you know, you have to use Frieza's assist when you tag him in, so it's not really that great. So that's why Frieza's down here. Next is Janemba, Trunks, Cooler, and Videl. So all these characters pretty much have the same issue of that. Number 1, they only have one assist that's actually okay for Krillin. And then number 2 is that they're really basic when it comes to synergy wise. You know, when using these assists, all you can really do is just normal, call assist, combo, end your combo, and then DHC kill. You know, there's no level 3 Oki that they possess. You know, there's no special, you know, mix-ups that they can do with these characters. Like, there's literally just nothing here. So I don't recommend these characters to anybody playing Krillin on their team. Then once again, I'm not saying that these characters are bad, but I don't think that they're worth playing with Krillin because they don't really give him anything special or anything unique. Aside from maybe Janemba's A assist, which is a tracking assist. So if you're doing Solar Flare plus assist and your opponent's really high up in the air, then you can pretty much just auto time it and you'll always get a confirm. But that doesn't really push Janemba like any higher. Like, he doesn't give any Oki. His damage is pretty okay, and then his neutral is okay as well. So it's like, they're not better than Frieza's, at least not in my opinion. Like, Frieza's neutral is a lot better than Janemba's. So it's like, you know, even though Frieza doesn't really have an assist at all, I still think he's slightly better than Janemba because he actually gives the level 3 setup in the corner. And the last 2 characters on this list is Goku Black and Captain Ginyu. So these characters are in particularly the last 2 because these 2 are really bad at supporting people. Goku Black's DCs are horrible. Like, he doesn't do a lot of damage. His meter gain's not that great. His mix-ups aren't great either. You know, to do his like EX teleport mix-ups, he needs not only high amounts of block stun, but he needs it in to be he needs the assist to push the opponent forward. That way he can choose which side he's gonna be on. So it's like doing this mix-up requires a lot of setup, and then if you fuck it up, it's not really rewarding because the Goku Black doesn't do a lot of damage in the first place. So that's why Goku Black is down here. The only thing you would play Goku Black for is his A assist, which there's so many other characters that have his assist and are actually just better themselves, like Super Saiyan Goku, GT Goku, freaking Kefla. Like all these characters have way better assists and are way better at the game than Goku Black is. And then Captain Ginyu's down here just because of the fact that he only has one assist that's actually viable, which is his A assist. And then as well as that, Ginyu is really unorthodox. Like I have no idea what the hell this character is doing most of the time. And you know, you figure that since he has a level 3 super from a level 1, you figure that that would be the catalyst for Oki setups. Well, not really, because it doesn't really push the opponent high up in the air, so the Oki don't really exist with, you know, Captain Ginyu, so it's not worth playing Ginyu with Krillin. I do admit that Ginyu can build a lot of meter and can do a lot of damage, but it's not really that big a deal when you're just playing your average Dragon Ball. You know, if you play Krillin and Ginyu together, it doesn't make your team bad, it just makes it below basic. It's just like, oh well, I just use Ginyu, and then I use level 1, level 3, and I kill, and then I just play Krillin like your average character. There's really nothing special about it at all, so that's why I have Ginyu as the very worst character for Krillin. Not only because of his unorthodox playstyle, but also the fact he doesn't give Krillin any Oki whatsoever, so it's really not that important. Alright guys, that's going to be it for today's video. So like I said before, if you guys have any comments on the characters in this list, then, you know, if you think, you know, characters should be higher or lower, please let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback on this video and what you think Krillin's best setup is in the entire game. In my opinion, I think the very best Krillin team in the entire game is Android 18, Krillin, and then Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta or Super Saiyan Vegeta. I think that team is Krillin's best team in the entire game. But what are your thoughts? What do you think Krillin's best team is in the game? Do you think, you know, there's certain characters that have hidden tech that I don't know about? Please let me know. And I'd love to hear your feedback in the comment section below. And with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it. So if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and to ring that bell. That way you're notified whenever I upload. So with that being said, guys, I hope you guys have a fantastic evening, and I will see you guys in the next video. Sayonara.